guys. All right. So we're going to comment on this first video, and this is from Idaho Four Revealed, and this was done apparently in April of 2024, and it's with KG and his wife. And so yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a look, babies.
About that November 13th day, the day you found out in the phone call. Are you able to talk about that?
Yeah, that day is that day was started out as a very odd Sunday in the first place because
April
he was
2024.
sick and he's never ever sick. Never been to the hospital in my entire life.
The mutt.
It wound up being Ramsey Hunt, so he had like this crazy rash on his face that started in his ear all the way down the nerve, and that morning woke up with his face all swelled up and was like, there's something wrong. I think I actually need to go to urgent care. And I was like, that's crazy. If you're saying that, this is serious. So that's how the morning started out. So came home. They diagnosed him with Ramsey Hunt, and he was in a lot of pain. But our son came over, and they were watching the football game. And
okay. I don't know. Let's see. All right, so I'll stop it there for a minute. So Ramsey Hunt syndrome, it's associated with the same virus, chickenpox, shingles. It paralyzes half of the face, causes a rash. All right, so I don't know. That fits with this with that syndrome. It's odd that it occurred the same morning, on the morning, your daughter was unalived. Oh, by the way, that's a prelude to my next theme that's coming up, guys. So actually, this is a really good suggestion to watch this. Just keep that in mind. So Ramsey Hunt syndrome, well, that what she's describing fits that. Okay, just saying, it fits those symptoms. Okay, we'll keep watching. I don't know. Good question, though. I don't know. Is that Stitch in the background? Lilo and Stitch? Anyway, nothing to do with anything. Who started the stalker theory? All right.
I'm very sorry to meet you this way. What do you want people to know about your sister?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah,
this guy.
The most important thing to know
Fucking
about
Como.
Kaylee is she was a go-getter and she was an absolute fighter.
All right.
And I want people to take this personally because she was everyone's daughter. She's the neighbor, she's the friend. She was the girl who made your coffee in the morning. And everyone should be taking this personally.
So,
right.
We're taking it personally.
All right.
And it doesn't make any sense. Certainly not to you. In terms of what you understood about your sister's life, was there any threat that she had ever had? Was there anybody who was coming after her on social media? Did she have a past, a problem with a boyfriend or a friend?
Good questions.
To inform why somebody would do something so violent to her friend, her other roommate, and her boyfriend?
Mm-hmm. Good question.
Absolutely, there's nothing. There's no boy problem. There's no threat. There's no high-risk lifestyle that could have indicated this. It has taken all of us completely by shock, and we have absolutely no ideas.
Nothing was done with it, fuckers. All right, let's go. Banfield, not the Banfield.
It is a piece of potential evidence.
It's Banfield.
Everybody is talking about online.
All right.
The glove that the police almost missed. It was dropped, or it was thrown out outside the home where the 4 college students were stabbed to death in Moscow.
You mean like Maddie's jacket?
There's a good chance that it would still be there right now. But for a former homicide detective,
there's the glove,
who noticed it. Well, he was actually
much smaller than the big-ass jacket they toss in the fucking bushes, by the way.
Chris McDonough is a veteran of the Oceanside, California
Chris
Police
McDonough.
Department, and currently he's the director with the National Cold Case Foundation.
Oh, boy.
He's also co-host
Oh, there he is. Hey, Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Tonight. Detective,
You're looking.
it's so good
You're
to
looking
have you.
concerned.
First of all, I am shaking my head as I even think I'm doing this interview with you. Take me there. Tell me what happened. You literally showed up and looked down and said, "Hello, gentlemen, come over here. Have you seen this?" Is that really how simple this was?
Yeah, it really was, Ashley. I mean, it was my wife and I. It was Thanksgiving Day. We happened to be up here in Idaho, and I said to her, I said, "Hey, let's just go over where that
Who's this guy?
situation's taking place at the university to get some tape." And we're walking up the street, and the first thing that caught my attention, to be honest with you, was
the big
all
jacket.
Of the cars still parked on the property.
Oh.
And then I looked over and I saw there was an officer controlling the scene sitting in his vehicle. And I looked to the left and I saw that what appeared to be a glove. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Is that a glove?" And she goes, "Yeah, I think it is." And so
Hey, if you've been trying to remove this from your life so you
and
the
months.
parents of one of the girls killed have become increasingly outspoken on the case, now saying there is a, quote, conflicting
2112, baby.
between their daughter and her friend. Joining us now for more is former FBI agent.
Where's the
and
big
Navy SEAL,
fucking
Jonathan Doyle.
jacket?
Jonathan, welcome back to Wake Up America. So let's start with that. What could conflicting means of death mean? Autopsy
Conflicting
results are
what?
already out. The father of one of those student says the points of damage don't match. What does he mean by this?
Who's this guy? Is that Santa? No, that ain't
Well,
Santa.
to tell you the truth, I don't know what this guy means. I'm going to take a little bit of a turn on this because this individual, Stephen Goncalves,
Goncalves, baby.
He's doing an interview. It seems like
Looks like Bill
every
Belichick,
4
doesn't
to
he?
8 hours.
What the fuck?
And many of they're not looking at the totality of the things that this guy says.
Love the tape markers there, indicating don't touch there.
And he says things that are very odd over and over again. I've worked a lot of different cases.
Good vibes, baby. Good
Different law enforcement. In fact, one
except with the prime.
Who was a mayor of a town in Springfield, and a 20-year police officer reached out to me yesterday and said he's never seen anyone that seemed like they have committed a homicide more than Mr. Goncalves. Now that's something when we're looking at his statements that he is consistently making to the media, and the media is overlooking the fact that he is saying things, and I have some of the things that he says right here. He says that nobody in the room, that it was fast and nobody suffered. Right?
Yeah,
there's been no report on them. He's also said that he's just going to say it. This is a quote from Kaylee's dad. "I'm just going to say it. It was leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I sent my daughter to college. She came back in a box." He went to when they had their service for all the 4 slain, and made jokes and talked about the lighting. I mean, this individual is bothering me and many people very much. And if at the very least, he is causing law enforcement more problems, I think, than
I agree with that.
else.
I agree with that. Definitely a problem. All right, hang on, guys. So, okay. Now, I understand what he's saying. I understand it. Okay, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful because, okay, you got to be careful with that, what he just said, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that he was involved in the crime, okay? That just suggests to me that somebody in law enforcement is giving him information, okay? That's all that's telling me. That doesn't mean that you cannot say that is proof or of some fashion that KG, even though he's the fucking mutt, all right? He's the mutt, but still, you cannot make that leap, okay? That's compelling, and the guy sounds like he's very into it, but still, you cannot make that leap. All that, to me, that says somebody in law enforcement that he knows, maybe personally or whatever, I don't know, is feeding him information, okay? And I can picture some pig in MPD telling the mutt, hey, the girls didn't suffer, they didn't suffer, which is, well, we know that's ludicrous because they did suffer, right? I mean, that is ludicrous. So the whole, I mean, again, the whole thing is ludicrous. But yeah, well, unfortunately, they did suffer. Okay, and yeah, when you're being stabbed, or whatever, hacked up by maybe a machete, for Christ's sake, I don't know, but it's definitely homemade. Okay, there's definitely homemade stuff being used. So I don't know. I can't make that leap. I can't make that leap, even though he's the mutt. Okay, I don't know. To me, that means somebody's squeaking in his ear. Hey, maybe trying to ease his anger a little bit, because the guy comes off as a complete. Well, I mean, again, you have to. It's difficult because you have to keep in mind the context. So, yeah, I mean, if Steve G actually does care about his daughter, okay, and he's not a complete sociopath or psychopath, then what a cop is going to do is they're going to try to reassure you, console you. They're going to say, look, your daughter didn't suffer, okay? We're sorry for your loss, but she didn't suffer. They're going to try to bullshit you. Even though we know that's not true. Okay, they're going to try to calm you down. All right. So anyway, I don't know. I don't see that, but let's continue.
She was taken away from us far too soon. Can you tell us what the authorities have been telling you? We want to do anything that we can to help you to get justice for your daughter and the rest of the victims. What are they telling you?
Yeah, what are they telling you?
They're telling us that there's so much evidence that it's going to take a lot of time to process it all. This wasn't like a pinpoint crime. This person was sloppy. He did whatever. When I say he, obviously you can't say that. That's just me. But he made a mess, and there's a mess there, and they're going to have to go through that point by point, and that's going to take a lot of time. Mm-hmm. That's why they reached out to other facilities to help them with that lab.
Who are these people?
They do have
why are they blurring them out? I don't get it. Why are they blurring them out?
On site that they said that they were able to really expedite things with this mobile unit. Hopefully, they're reaching out to
when was this?
Other DNA processing type companies, such as like 23andMe, to get involved. They have not confirmed that they have DNA from this person. They just said that they have a ton of evidence. And evidently today, with the new task force, the new FBI task force on site, and the FBI, of course, and Idaho State Police, they said that they were able to pull a ton of evidence from the house today. Mm-hmm. And they're processing that. So it just takes time.
See, okay, hang on, guys, hang on.
Hey, everyone,
All right, I have it paused. So I want to look at this, okay? November 21st, 8 days after the murder, right? Murders. Unalivings, Christ. No, fucking murders. I'm so sick of it's what it is, okay? This is a crime investigation, right? Anyway, it's why they reached out to other facilities to help with that lab work. Does every complex crime scene loaded with forensic evidence require outsourcing for IGG-produced S&P profile? Maybe, okay? Maybe. Because one, first of all, how do I explain this? No, not every complex crime scene loaded with forensic evidence requires outsourcing. No. Especially not in big cities, okay? Now, if we're talking fucking like Los Angeles, no. But if we're talking a really small town like Moscow, Idaho, who they're not equipped, okay, to deal with this type of stuff, which they're not, okay? That's why they outsourced a lot of things to Boise and other big areas that can handle this type of processing. So no, all right? No, not every complex crime scene loaded with forensic information or evidence requires outsourcing, okay? No. But when we're talking a small town quadruple homicide, Yes, you may have to outsource things, okay, because you're just not equipped to handle it. So there's nothing fishy with that. All right, you got to keep that in mind. Then this, a week after the murders, unlikely. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay, it's not unlikely. I mean, okay. So I'm trying to play both sides here. All right, a little bit. If I'm going into the crime scene, let's say I'm going into the crime scene, and we got the forensic team in there, okay, and we're doing our evidence evaluation. We're going through the house. We're doing our evidence evaluation. We're looking for DNA. We're looking for blood. We're looking for we're looking for fingerprints. We're looking for footprints. We're looking for all the evidence. Right. Okay. We're doing that the minute. Now, I'm not saying this is legitimate. And listen, this case is fucked up. I know, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what the straight line may be here. All right. So no, this is not absurd. Okay, because from day one, when you enter that house as a like a CSI, right? You're doing these things from day one. Okay, you are sweeping. All right. Now I'm not saying that. Now again, this was a totally botched, in my opinion, in my speculation and theory. This investigation was fucked up from the very beginning. Very beginning. Okay. All right. Now whether that ties into a greater conspiracy theory, I don't know. That's the mud, right? That's the mud. I don't know. There's signs that say yes, there is a maybe a greater conspiracy here at work, okay? But again, guys, how much do you want to play in the mud is the question here, okay? So I'm trying to play both sides. I'm trying to look at it from both sides of the aisle. The aisle of plenty. And there's plenty in this case, okay? I mean, yes. This is one of the most absurd cases that you're ever going to see in your life. Next to the Karen Reed trial that's going on right now, this takes the cake as well, all right? It does. And it's just, I don't know. Cases like this come along once in a fucking blue moon, right? This and Karen Reed, and they just so happen to hit right around the same time. All right, let's continue. Let's continue. Oh, by the way, I just want to say this. What's going on? There's a riot going on, baby. Hey, that's to the Great Sly. That's to the Great Sly and the family. All right? Just saying, there's a riot going on. and speaking of Los Angeles, just saying. Oh, and Texas. But anyway, that's a nod and a wink to the Great Sly and the Family Stone, baby. Oh my God, he was one of a kind. I wish I was alive to see him. In fact, I wish I was alive to see all those bands back in the day, but unfortunately I was born in the wrong goddamn time. All right? The Great Sly. Unfortunately, the Great Sly, well, yeah, you kind of, well, I'm not going to talk about it. The Great Sly and the Family. All right, baby. Genius. Yeah, we're going on. There's a riot going on, baby. No, I don't find that unusual. No. Especially with small towns. What's this? Murders? Unalivings?
We've only heard positive stories about your daughter and the other victims out there.
Give me your daughter.
We couldn't find anybody to say anything about them. It's only been that they were givers. They loved everyone.
Flying campus. Saucers, baby.
You see the videos on social media of them being so happy. Did y'all have any clue? I mean, there haven't been a murder in you guys' town since 2015. Did y'all have any clue that
in Coeur d'Alene?
Be unsafe on the campus? Was there any indication?
In Coeur d'Alene?
Absolutely not. And if they were, we would have told Kaylee to come home immediately. And same with Maddie. Maddie's family is our family. I know Maddie's, we're very close with them.
Barstool.
They are not speaking out. They choose not to speak
out. Beautiful flower.
Speak on behalf of Maddie.
Beautiful flower. Beautiful moonflower.
From little girls.
Beautiful
She was part
Moonflower.
of our family. Kaylee was part of their family, and absolutely not. Our son went to that college. No, absolutely not.
My daughter was aware of her environment.
Very aware.
She turned her camera on. She would film when she thought somebody was following her out of a mall.
Beautiful babies. Beautiful, lovely.
She was very aware that, she was a pretty girl and that, it could attract some problems. So she was alert. She was a streetwise child.
She herself was a web sleuth. Literally, through and through. Listen to, which is just so ironic and just so surreal in all of it.
All right, had to pause it. Were Kaylee's parents ignorant as they seem, or were they just pretending not to know that this was not a good situation for Kaylee? Based on that, I can't make a determination. I mean, from what we understand of her, she was very street, well, you got to qualify that. Now, you're not going to be aware in every situation. And what we see at the grub truck, she is not paying attention to anything, okay? Now, I hate to revisit the grub truck, but I did watch that, all right? And Kaylee is off into the moon, okay? She's in her phone. She ain't paying attention to anybody else around her, right? So, yeah, she may be street smart, all right? And she may be into criminal cases and all that. But that particular night, at least in that particular moment at the grub truck, she was totally not paying attention to her surroundings at all. And you guys know that. You guys saw that, right? Right. She was totally into her phone, texting madly somebody or something, right? She was texting constantly on her phone. Now, people are saying, well, she was texting the driver. I don't know. We don't know that. We don't know who she was texting, all right? But my point is, she was not paying attention in that moment, or at least in that, when they got to the grub truck, they went up to the counter, they ordered the food, and once that happened, she was on her goddamn phone, and she wasn't paying attention to all the freaks around her, all right? So, I don't know. I can't say, based on what I just saw, that her parents are ignorant or they're pretending. I don't know. But let's continue.
We asked for a list of the things that...
It's Lilo and Stitch, baby!
Because we know of some things like a laptop, an Apple laptop, and a couple of things. We couldn't even get them to give a list. So...
Of things that they had, and maybe it sounds stupid, but I don't really know why Kaylee's phone is evidence. Like, what is on? So it makes me think, what is on it?
Yeah, that makes you go cuckoo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like...
Because you don't know her friends. That's why.
Her speaker, it's kind of unusual item not to give back. The laptops, multiple laptops.
All right, hang on, guys. Hang on. I gotta pause this. Hang on. This is
of hers.
Hang on. Listen. The parents, again, it goes back to this. All right, it goes back to this, guys. The parents are not gonna know. The parents, listen, guys. This is why this stuff is intriguing, okay? But you have to keep in mind, the parents are going to be the last to know. Okay? That is... fucking lighting. All right, listen, guys. The parents are always going to be the last to know, all right? Keep that in mind in this type of case. The parents are not going to have the information that you want. The information that you want is going to come from the friends. The so-called friends. Not the parents. So it's not unusual for the parents to be confused. Okay? That is not unusual. And that doesn't mean anything. Alright? This doesn't speak to any type of conspiracy, guys. It doesn't. The parents are going to be the last to know the ins and outs of the social world of their daughter. Okay? Now, you remember back when you were 21, did you tell your parents everything? Did you tell your mom and dad everything that you were doing at college? No, of course not. So that is not unusual. But that is not where you're going to find the evidence. Unless you suspect one of the parents, like the mutt. If you have suspicion that the mutt had something to do with this, okay, you're going to dig into him, right? But I'm generally speaking, okay, in a crime like this magnitude, the parents are not going to have the keys that you're looking for. It's going to be the friends. And in this case, and this is why it would take months and months and months to sift through all of this, they had a shit ton of friends. Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana. They had a myriad of friends that you have to sift through. Okay? And again, the potato department in fucking Moscow, they didn't do that. They didn't do it. And that's why this investigation has been fucked from the very beginning. That's part of the reason why, all right? But the parents are never going to be your source unless you suspect one of them. But I'm just saying, they're never going to have the keys that you want. All right. Hey, listen, I'm going to pick this up in part 2. This is part 1 of this analysis of that video. All right. I'm going to pick it up in part 2. All right. I'll see you in a little bit, my lovelies and lads. I love you. My garden, I have the best garden in the goddamn world. Yes, I do. All right. I love you. I'm going to pick this up very soon. Part 2 of looking at this video. All right. Hey, this is Idaho Four Revealed. Hey, good stuff. Great stuff. Hey, great stuff. All right. We're going to keep going. And hey, we got to keep going. All right. We'll talk to you real soon, babies.